My daughter told me to retire the same week my auto shop died online. She called it concern, smiled like a good daughter, and let strangers call me careless before I knew who was feeding them the words. I did not answer her that night. I just started listening closely. That is not what people expect from a man who spent nearly 3 decades fixing wrecked cars in Stanton, Virginia. They expect shouting. They expect threats. They expect a father to pound a table when his only child sits in his kitchen and tells him the town thinks he is finished. I did none of that. My name is Frank Davies. I was 59 years old then, owner of Davies Auto Body on Greenville Avenue, widower, father, and the sort of man who can hear a loose bumper bracket from across a bay but still miss the crack forming in his own house. The thing that should have warned me was the toolbox. It was small, red, and dented at one corner. Emily gave it to me when she was 9. She painted "World's Best Dad" across the top in yellow marker, the letters crooked because she had been too excited to wait for the first coat to dry. For 19 years, that toolbox sat on the same shelf above my paint bench. I never used it much. The handle was loose and there were only a few child-sized screwdrivers inside, but I kept it where I could see it. Some men keep trophies. I kept that. Before I go further, get comfortable and ask yourself something. If your own child started destroying the one thing you built to provide for her, would you expose her as fast as you could, or would you wait because some part of you still remembered the child who once thought you were the best man alive? I did not know the answer until it was too late to like myself either way. The first sign was silence. A body shop is supposed to have noise. Compressors coughing awake. Sanders whining. Hoods dropping too hard because young men think every piece of metal needs to be punished. Customers talking over each other at the counter. The bell on the front door giving its tired little jingle. That late summer, the shop got quiet. Bay 1 still had work. Bay 2 sometimes did. Bay 3 looked cleaner than it had in years because there was nothing sitting in it long enough to make a mess. At first, I blamed the normal things. Heat. School starting. Insurance delays, people putting repairs off until the next paycheck. A man will do that when the truth is standing beside him wearing work boots. He will call it weather before he calls it a warning. Then the cancellation started. A woman from Verona canceled a bumper job the morning she was supposed to drop off the car. She sounded embarrassed, not mad. A regular who had brought me his family trucks for 15 years said he was going another direction. 3 estimates disappeared without a callback. People do not usually get embarrassed about changing mechanics. They get embarrassed when they know something you do not. One evening near closing, I stood in the middle of the shop with that little red toolbox in my hand. The big bay door was open. Warm air came in off the road. The fluorescent light above the paint bench buzzed like it had something to say and no courage to say it. I looked at the shelf where the toolbox belonged. I looked at the empty bays. Then I put the toolbox back exactly where it had been. That was a habit of mine. Put things back. Keep things steady. Do not make a scene. My wife Sarah used to say I could make a funeral look organized if somebody handed me a clipboard. Sarah had been gone 16 years by then. Emily was 12 when we buried her mother. I mention that now because it matters. At the time, I thought the story was about fake reviews and a damaged business. It was not. That was only the surface dent. The rust started much deeper. Emily came to my house the next week without calling. She still had a key. I never asked for it back after she moved into an apartment downtown with Travis. A daughter's key does not feel like a risk. It feels like proof you did at least one thing right. She can come home. She belongs. That night the key turned in the back door while I was making coffee at almost 8 o'clock. Sarah used to tease me about drinking coffee at night. "Frank," she would say, "you drink that stuff like it is holding the roof up." Maybe it was. Emily stepped into the kitchen dressed nicer than a casual visit required. Black dress, small gold earrings. Hair pulled back, perfume arriving half a second before she did not take off her purse. That told me something. People who come to visit put their things down. People who come to deliver a speech keep hold of their exit. "Hey, Dad," she said. "Hey, sweetheart, you want coffee?" At night. Still legal in Virginia. She smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. I had seen that smile on customers who wanted a discount before they showed me the estimate from another shop. She sat at the kitchen table and put both hands around her purse. I leaned against the counter. Everything all right? She looked down first. That hurt before she even spoke. People are talking, she said. I waited. Silence is not always kindness. Sometimes it is a tool. If you do not rush to fill it, people reveal where they meant to go all along. She glanced at me. About the shop. The coffee pot clicked behind me. What about it? Dad, I do not want you to take this wrong. Nobody says that unless they already know the right way to take it. I set my mug on the counter. There have been complaints, she said. Online, around town. People think maybe the work is not what it used to be. I watched her thumbs rub the seam of her purse. What people? Just people. What complaints? She gave me a soft look, pitying, careful, like she was standing beside a hospital bed. Dad. One word, that was all. Not answer, not proof. Just my name turned into a warning. The family thinks maybe it is time to retire before you embarrass yourself further. There are sentences that land like a thrown wrench. That one landed flat and heavy. Retire, not slow down, not take help, not hire another hand. Retire. As if my life had become something decent people were trying not to stare at. I picked up my coffee but did not drink it. The family, I said. She nodded too fast. Everybody is worried. Carol. Emily looked away. Carol is my younger sister. She has known me long enough to spot a lie in my left eyebrow. It is not about one person, Emily said. Tom. Dad, please. Your cousins. Her sigh changed. The concern cracked and irritation showed underneath. You always do this. Ask who said something. You make people feel like they cannot talk to you. I looked at my daughter sitting at my table, dressed like she had somewhere better to be, telling me my life's work was embarrassing the family. I wanted to ask when she stopped saying our shop and started saying the shop. Instead I said, I have been fixing cars since before you were born. I know. Your mother helped me paint the first office. I know, Dad. But she did not say it like she knew. She said it like the facts were old furniture she wanted carried out. Travis says there are companies that would lease that location, she said. You could get out while the building still has value. There it was, Travis. He worked at Thompson's Collision near the bypass. Good mechanic from what I had heard, not great. There is a difference, and men like Travis hate that difference more than bad men hate the truth. He had dated Emily almost 2 years. He called me Mr. Davies in the voice men use when respect is cheaper than honesty. He never looked me in the eye longer than he had to. What does Travis have to do with my shop? I asked. Emily's mouth tightened. He understands the business. So do I. That is not what I meant. Then say what you meant. She stood. That was when I knew the visit was not going the way she had rehearsed. I came because I love you, she said. No, I said. You came because somebody wants me ashamed enough to move. Her eyes flashed, just 1 second, then the soft daughter came back. You should think about it. She walked to the back door. I did not follow. At the threshold she turned. People will believe concern before pride, Dad. Try to remember that. Then she left. I stood in that kitchen with cold coffee in my hand and that sentence moving around the room. People will believe concern before pride. It sounded wise if you did not know where the knife was hidden. By morning I had a different version of it in my head. People will believe a worried daughter before they believe a stubborn old man. I did not know yet that those exact words would come back and break her. The next morning I opened the shop like always. Same sticky front lock. Same tired bell. Same smell of dust, old paint, oil, and metal that had been warmed and cooled too many times. A silver sedan waited in Bay 1. Dented passenger door. Simple job. The kind of work that can steady a man because metal tells the truth. The crease runs where it runs. The clip is broken or it is not. Paint matches or it does not. people are messier. By mid-morning, I drove to Stanton Feed and Supply for sanding discs and filters. It was part hardware store, part feed store, and part town newspaper with no editor. You could buy fence staples, hear about somebody's divorce, and learn which church had burned the green beans all before lunch. Jerry Moss was by the counter. Jerry was 68, retired electrician, bad knee, good heart. I had kept his blue Ford pickup alive long after the state of Virginia would have preferred we both stop trying. He saw me and lifted 2 fingers. "Frank." "Jerry, you staying busy?" A normal question. It landed wrong. "Enough," I said. His eyes moved off mine. There it was again. Embarrassment. I picked up the filters. Jerry watched me like he had something in his mouth and could not decide whether to spit it out. At the counter, I said, "You got something to tell me." He rubbed his chin. "I do not know if it is anything." "Most things start there." The clerk suddenly became interested in a receipt printer. Jerry lowered his voice. "Folks are saying your work has slipped." I stood still. Who is folks? "I heard it at the VFW. Maybe from somebody who heard it online. You know how talk moves." I knew exactly how talk moved. It moved easiest when somebody pushed it. "I do not believe it," Jerry said quickly. That made it worse. A reputation is in real trouble when people start comforting you about the rumors they are repeating. I paid for the filters. Jerry touched my arm as I turned. "Frank, I should not have said anything." "No," I said, "I am glad you did." And I was, not thankful, awake. Back at the shop, I pulled up the review page on the office computer. I had avoided it because I am an old enough fool to think good work should speak louder than strangers with keyboards. There were 11 new reviews in 3 weeks. 1 star, 1 star, 2 stars, 1 star. The names looked like the kind people use when they do not want anyone knocking on their door. Old owner forgot my repair. Dangerous work, stay away. Guy is stubborn and past his prime. He smelled like paint thinner and coffee and could barely follow the estimate. I sat back in the chair. That last one was too specific, not because it was true, because it was written by someone who had stood close enough to me to know the shop smelled like paint thinner and that I drank coffee all day. Then I saw the line that made my hands go cold. His daughter should make him retire before somebody gets hurt. I read it once. Then again, the office seemed to shrink around me. Emily had said the family thought I should retire before I embarrass myself further. The review said my daughter should make me retire. That was not proof, not yet, but it was a fingerprint pressed into wet paint. I printed the page, folded it once, and put it in the top drawer. Then I went back to the silver sedan. The door gap was perfect. I checked it 5 times anyway. That Sunday, Carol had family dinner. She did that twice a month when life allowed it. Carol worked as a school secretary, which meant she could calm a crying child, stop a hallway fight, and shame a grown man into bringing back a permission slip without raising her voice. Her house sat on a quiet street with a maple tree out front and wind chimes by the porch. When I walked in, roast chicken and black pepper were in the air. Tom, her husband, handed me iced tea before I could ask. "You look like you need one," he said. "I usually look that way." He laughed. Tom was a decent man. He told the same fishing story too often, but marriage is mostly choosing which flaws get to stay indoors. Carol came from the kitchen wiping her hands on a dish towel. "There you are," she said. "Here I am." She kissed my cheek and studied my face. "You okay?" "Fine." She did not believe me. She also saw Emily in the dining room and her eyes moved there before she let me pass. Emily looked perfect. Cream blouse, gold earrings, hair neat. She was laughing at something on her phone, looking like every mother's idea of a daughter who remembers birthdays. Travis was not there. That was unusual if food was involved. Dinner started the way family dinners do when nobody wants to be first with the match. Tom said the potatoes needed salt. Carol told him his blood pressure needed less personality. A cousin talked about his son's football tryout. Somebody complained about roadwork downtown. Then Emily set down her fork. "Dad, how is the shop this week?" It was a clean question. Too clean. Every face at the table tilted toward me in that polite little way people do when they pretend they are not waiting. I wiped my mouth with a napkin. Fine. Really? One word changed the air. Carol looked at Emily. Emily gave the table a sad little smile. I only ask because we talked, and I know he does not like hearing it from me. Small businesses are hard. Reputations matter. Once people start saying things, sometimes pride can make a person hold on too long. There it was, the performance. Not loud, not cruel on the surface. That was what made it work. A woman shouting at her father looks ugly. A daughter worrying about him looks noble. One cousin nodded like he had been invited to be reasonable. That's true, he said. Emily folded her hands beside her plate. I just do not want him getting hurt. I looked at her. She looked back this time. There was a challenge under all that concern. She wanted me to argue. If I got angry, she could prove her point without proving anything else. So I said nothing. Silence bothered her. It always had. Tom, who had been cutting his chicken and missing most of the traps, said, "Speaking of reputations, Em, didn't I see you and Travis at Mill Road Diner last week?" Emily turned toward him. "Maybe. You two were laughing at something on your phone. I remember because Travis said something about star rate. I thought that was the review thing for restaurants." Emily's fork touched her plate, small sound, but I heard it. Carol heard it too. Emily smiled at Tom. "I do not remember." "He said," Tom went on, because Tom could walk through a burning barn and keep describing the horse. "Something like, 'Wait until Frank sees this one.' I figured it was some joke." The table went still. Emily's face did not change much. That was what scared me. A person caught by accident usually flinches. Emily did not. She recalculated. "Travis makes stupid jokes," she said. "You know how he is." "No," I said, "I do not." Carol put her serving spoon down. Emily looked at me, then at the others, and gave a tired little laugh. "See, this is what I mean. One harmless thing and suddenly Dad thinks everyone is against him." That was the first counterpunch. She did not deny the pressure. She made my reaction the problem. "I did not say everyone," I said. "You did not have to." Her eyes brightened, not with tears but with effort. "Dad, I love you, but you have been different, forgetful, suspicious, defensive. Maybe all of this is exactly why people are worried." Carol said, "Emily." Emily turned to her. "What? I am not allowed to be honest." Carol's face tightened. That was the second time the room shifted, not against me, away from certainty. Emily felt it and stood too quickly. "I should go." "Sit down," Carol said. Emily picked up her purse. "No, I came to dinner, not a trial." I looked at my daughter and saw the girl who used to run through the shop with a juice box in one hand and a plastic wrench in the other. Then I saw the woman she had become standing in Carol's dining room, using concern like a rag to wipe fingerprints off a blade. "Good night, Dad," she said. "Good night, Emily." She paused at the hallway. Maybe she expected me to follow, maybe she hoped I would. I stayed in my chair. After the door shut, nobody spoke for a few seconds. Then Tom said, much quieter than usual, "I did not know that would matter." Carol looked at me. "Frank." I reached into my jacket pocket, pulled out the folded review printout and slid it across the table. No one touched it at first. Carol finally opened it. I watched her read the line about my daughter making me retire. Her mouth moved, but no sound came out. "That does not prove she wrote it," I said. Carol looked up. "No," she said. "But it proves somebody wants you to think of her when you read it." That night I went home and did not sleep much. The house felt too large. The kitchen chair where Emily had sat looked turned at the wrong angle, though I had straightened it twice. The coffee maker clicked as it cooled. The old burn mark on the table, the one Sarah left with a cast iron pan, seemed darker than usual. Grief has strange manners. It will sit quietly for years, then clear its throat at the worst possible time. I thought about Sarah. I thought about Emily at 12, standing beside the grave in a navy dress too big at the shoulders because Carol bought it in a hurry. I thought about how I went back to the shop the week after the funeral because bills were due and cars were waiting, and grief made more sense when I could hold a tool. I told myself I had provided. I had. I told myself Emily never went hungry. She did not. I told myself the roof stayed over her head because I kept moving. That was true too. Truth can still be incomplete. The next 2 weeks got uglier. A customer named Linda Park came in with a dented minivan and looked at me like she was asking permission to be uncomfortable. "Frank," she said, "is everything all right here?" "Depends on the definition of everything." She tried to smile and failed. "My sister sent me a screenshot. It said you damaged a car and refused to fix it." "Did she know whose car?" "No." "Did the person use a real name?" "No." "Did that stop her from sending it?" Linda looked down. "No." That is how rumors work. Nobody believes them fully, but everybody handles them like they might be hot. I fixed Linda's minivan. She paid me. She even hugged me before she left, which was awkward because I was holding a clipboard and men my age are not designed for sudden kindness. But 2 more jobs vanished that week. Then Travis came by. He arrived in a dark pickup with clean tires, which told me everything I needed to know about how he used it. He parked crooked, stepped into my office, and looked around like he was pricing the air. "Mr. Davies," he said. "Travis." He wore a blue shirt with Thompson's Collision stitched over the pocket. Hair gel. Work boots too new to be trusted. Rough month, huh? I leaned back in my chair. "You here for repair?" He smiled. "No, just checking on you. Emily worries." There it was again, concern arriving in other people's mouths. "That's so. She thinks you are taking all this too personal. My name is on the sign." He chuckled like I had made a small joke. "Look, I know this location has been in your family a long time, but sometimes an old shop needs new blood." "Does it?" "Elise could help you. You get steady money, no stress, no angry customers." "And who gets the building?" He raised both hands. "I am just saying there are options." I had spent 40 years around men like Travis. They think if they say a thing gently, it stops being a threat. "Tell Emily I appreciate the concern," I said. His smile thinned. "You know, people respect a man who knows when to step aside." I stood, not fast, just enough. Travis took half a step back before he caught himself. "People also respect a man who says what he came to say," I told him. The office went quiet. He looked at the old photos on the wall. Sarah holding Emily by the shop sign. Emily in pigtails sitting on a stack of tires. Me 20 years younger, pretending I did not enjoy the attention. His eyes landed on the red toolbox visible through the office window, sitting on the shelf above the paint bench. "Cute," he said. It was one word, one stupid word. But he said it in a way that turned something sacred into junk. I opened the office door. "You can go now." His face hardened. "You are making this harder than it needs to be." "That has been said about me before." He left and the bell made its tired sound behind him. 5 minutes later, a new review appeared. "Owner is aggressive when questioned. Family should step in before he hurts somebody." I stared at the screen, not because I was surprised, because anger had finally found the right address. I printed that one too. Then I called Carol. She answered on the second ring. "Frank. Can I come by?" She did not ask why. "Door is open." That is family when it is still working. At Carol's kitchen table I laid out the printed reviews, not many. I had no interest in turning grief into a spreadsheet, just enough to show the pattern. She read quietly. Tom stood behind her with his arms crossed. "This one says stubborn old man," Carol said. "Emily used stubborn at dinner," Tom said. "A lot of people use that word," I said. Carol looked at me over the paper. "Frank." I hated that tone because it meant she loved me and had no patience for my nonsense. "I know," I said. Tom tapped one printout. "This one came right after Travis left your shop." 5 minutes. Tom let out a low whistle. Carol put the paper down and rubbed her forehead. "Have you talked to Emily?" "Not since dinner." You should. She will deny it. Probably. Then what? Carol did not answer. That was when I realized she was afraid too, not of Emily hurting her, of what would happen if Emily really had done it. Carol loved my daughter. After Sarah died, Carol took Emily to school when I had early drop-offs. She sat through parent nights when I was still learning how to breathe in rooms where Sarah should have been. She bought the funeral dress. She kept spare cereal at her house because Emily hated the kind I bought. If Emily was the one poisoning my name, Carol would not just lose a niece's innocence. She would lose part of the story she had told herself to survive our family. Maybe she is being pushed, Carol said, by Travis. Maybe. I looked at the reviews. I wanted that to be true. A father will reach for any version where his child is less guilty, even a bad one. If she is, I said, she still opened the door. Carol's eyes filled, but she nodded. The next day, Carol called me at the shop. Her voice was wrong. I had known Carol my whole life. I knew her tired voice, angry voice, church basement voice, school secretary voice, and the voice she used when Tom had done something foolish but survivable. This was none of them. Frank, she said, can you close early? I looked through the office window at Bay 1, empty. What happened? She breathed in, shaky. I went by Emily's apartment to drop off mail. Some of it still comes here. Her door was not latched all the way. I heard her inside. She was on the phone. I sat down. The chair creaked under me. Carol. I know, I should have left. I almost did. What did you hear? She was quiet long enough that I closed my eyes. Then she said, by the time I am done, he will not have a business left. The office around me lost color. Carol continued, each word costing her. Then she said, people will believe a worried daughter before they believe a stubborn old man. There it was, the sentence from my head, the sentence from Emily's mouth. I did not speak. Carol started crying softly. Frank, I am sorry. People say sorry when they are standing near pain and have no tool for it. I had tools all over the shop and not one for this. Was Travis on the phone? I asked. I think so. She said his name once. Are you sure? Yes. Her voice changed then, guilty. I recorded the last part. I opened my eyes. You what? I recorded it on my phone, only a little. I know it was wrong. I panicked. I thought if I told you with no proof, you would try to forgive her before you believed me. That one hit because it was true, I would have. Not because Carol lies, she does not. Because a father will argue with evidence if it means his daughter gets to remain who she was yesterday. Come to the shop, I said. Frank, what are you going to do? I looked through the office window at the red toolbox. Listen. Carol arrived 20 minutes later. She parked badly, which told me more than words could. Carol never parked badly. She sat in her car for a moment with both hands on the wheel. Then she came inside carrying her purse like it weighed 50 pounds. I locked the office door behind her. She took out her phone. I do not want to play it. I know. But once you hear it, you cannot unhear it. That is usually how truth works. She gave me a wet, annoyed look. Do not be dry at me right now. That almost made me smile, almost. She pressed play. Emily's voice came through the little speaker, tinny but clear. He will fight because the shop is all he has. Let him. The more stubborn he looks, the more people believe me. A pause, then Emily laughed, not happy, hard. Travis, please, people will believe a worried daughter before they believe a stubborn old man. By the time I am done, he will beg to lease the place. The recording ended. Carol covered her mouth. I looked at the desk. On it sat an old metal nameplate Sarah had ordered when we first opened. Frank Davies, owner. She thought it made the office look professional. I thought it made me look like I was pretending. I touched the edge of it with one finger. Play it again, I said. Carol shook her head. Frank. Please. She played it again. The second time was worse because the surprise was gone. All that remained was my daughter's voice, clean as a fresh cut. For a while, neither of us spoke. Then Carol said, "Do you want me to call her?" "No." "Do you want to send it to someone?" "No." "Then what?" I looked toward the shop floor. She gets one chance to say it with me in the room. Carol wiped her face. "And if she lies?" "Then she lies in front of you." That was not revenge the way movies understand it. No shouting, no public speech, no dramatic music, but I knew my daughter. I knew the mask she wore. I knew the way she could turn a room by sounding wounded first. If I confronted her alone, she would make the whole story about my age, my temper, my grief, my pride. If Carol stood there, Emily would have to choose whether to lie to the woman who helped raise her. That mattered. Sometimes the trap is not complicated. Sometimes you just let a person be themselves with one extra witness. I called Emily from the office phone because I did not trust my cell in my hand. She answered on the fourth ring. "Dad, I need to come by tonight." Silence. "Why?" "To talk." "About what?" "The reviews." Her breath changed, only slightly. "Dad, I have plans." "Cancel them." "You cannot just order me around." "No. But you can decide whether I come to your apartment or start calling people from the shop." There was a long pause, then the daughter voice came back, soft, tired, concerned. "You are scaring me." That might have worked on me a week earlier. Now I only heard the machinery behind it. "7 o'clock, I said. "Is Aunt Carol coming?" I looked at Carol. She closed her eyes. "Yes." Emily said nothing, then fine. She hung up first. At 7, Carol and I stood outside Emily's apartment door. The building was brick, clean enough, with narrow stairs and a hallway that smelled faintly of old carpet and somebody's dinner. Through one wall, a television murmured. Somewhere downstairs, a dog barked twice and gave up. Carol held her purse with both hands. "I hate this," she whispered. "Me too." She was a child, Frank. She is not one now. Carol nodded, but tears had already gathered. Emily opened the door before I knocked twice. She had changed clothes since work. Soft sweater, jeans, bare feet, no Travis. Her eyes went to Carol first. "Really?" Carol flinched. Emily stepped aside. The apartment was neat in the way rooms are neat when someone needs control. Magazines squared on the coffee table, candle on the shelf. Throw blanket folded over the couch. A little framed print by the window that said home. I noticed the print because there are times when a word becomes mean without meaning to. Emily did not offer coffee or water. Good. I did not want anything in my hands. "Say what you came to say," she said. I stood near the couch. Carol stayed closer to the door. "Did you write the reviews?" I asked. Emily laughed once, not because it was funny, because she needed a sound before she found a face. "That is what this is." "Yes." "You came here at night with Aunt Carol to ask if I wrote internet reviews." "Yes." She looked at Carol. "Do you hear him?" Carol's chin trembled. "Answer him." That changed Emily's face. For a second, anger showed up naked. Then the soft mask returned. "No," Emily said. "I did not write fake reviews. I did not ruin your shop. I have been trying to help you because I love you." There it was, the first lie in the room. I nodded. "Did Travis?" "Do not bring him into this." "Did he?" "This is exactly what I mean." Emily folded her arms. "You cannot handle anybody questioning you, so now there has to be some conspiracy." Carol whispered, "Emily." Emily turned on her. "No, do not Emily me like I am 12. The number landed between us. 12. Sarah's funeral age. Emily's mouth tightened like she had not meant to say it yet. I stayed quiet. She looked back at me and saw the opening. "Maybe people are worried because they should be," she said. "Maybe you are not as sharp as you think. Maybe customers can see it. Maybe I am the only one brave enough to say it before you hurt somebody." That was the second lie. Not because she believed none of it. That would have been easier. The cruelest lies often carry a splinter of truth. I was older. I was tired. I did drink too much coffee and forget where I put small things. None of that made me unsafe. None of that made her innocent. I am going to ask one more time, I said. Did you help spread those reviews? Emily's eyes shone. No. She looked straight at Carol. I swear to you, Aunt Carol, I was only trying to protect him. That was the lie too far. Carol made a sound I had never heard from her before. Small, broken, almost angry. Emily noticed. What? Carol reached into her purse. Her hand shook so badly she had trouble finding the phone. Emily stared at her. What are you doing? Carol did not answer. She pressed play. Emily's own voice filled the apartment. He will fight because the shop is all he has. Let him. The more stubborn he looks, the more people believe me. Emily stopped moving. The recording continued. Travis, please. People will believe a worried daughter before they believe a stubborn old man. By the time I am done, he will beg to lease the place. Then silence, not normal silence. The kind that comes after a glass breaks in another room and everyone knows nobody is cleaning it up yet. Emily looked at Carol's phone, then at Carol, then at me. Her face went white, not pale, white. For the first time since this started, she had no expression ready. I said nothing. That was my revenge, if you want to call it that. I let her stand in the room with her own voice. Emily swallowed. You recorded me. Carol's eyes filled. Yes. You recorded me in my own apartment. I was in the hall. Your door was open. That is disgusting. Carol flinched, but she did not put the phone away. Emily turned to me. This is what you do. You send people to spy on me. There was the counterpunch. I almost admired the speed of it. Caught with a knife, complain about the fingerprint dust. No, I said. You are sick, both of you. Maybe, I said, but that is your voice. Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. I watched my daughter search for a door, deny it. Impossible, blame Travis. Maybe, cry, useful but not enough, attack Carol, already tried. So she reached for the oldest wound in the room. You want to know why? Carol whispered, Emily, don't. Emily laughed, wet and sharp. No, he came here for truth, right? Let him have it. She pointed toward me. Because the shop was always more important than me. I did not move. There it was, the real room under the room. Emily's tears came fast now, and she hated them. She wiped her cheeks hard. Mom died and you moved into that garage. Emily, Carol said, no, he knows. He knows exactly what he did. I wanted to say I did not, but that would have been another lie. Maybe I had not understood it in words, but I had known there were years I did not know how to reach my daughter, so I reached for work instead. Emily stepped closer. I was 12, Dad, 12. Everybody cried for you. Poor Frank. Frank lost Sarah. Frank kept the shop going. Frank is so strong. Her voice cracked. Do you know what I remember? I did not answer. Microwave dinners at Aunt Carol's, sitting in your office after school while you worked late, asking when we were going home and hearing soon for 2 hours. Mom's room staying exactly the same because you could not touch it. But every day you fix strangers' wrecks. Carol covered her mouth. Emily pressed a hand to her chest. You fixed cars, Dad. You fixed doors and bumpers and frames and every broken thing people brought you. But I was right there. Her voice dropped. I was right there and you did not fix me. There are accusations a man can defend against. Bad work, a crooked bill, a fake review, a lie. That one I could not because it was not cleanly false. I had loved Emily. I had provided. I had shown up in all the ways a grieving man can measure on a calendar or a bank statement. But a child cannot hug a paid mortgage. A daughter cannot ask an oil change to sit beside her at night. I looked at my hands. They were rough, nicked in 2 places, still carrying a thin crescent of primer near one thumbnail. Hands that had fixed everything except what mattered most. You are right, I said. Emily blinked. She had expected a fight. What? You are right that I disappeared into work after your mother died. Carol started crying silently. Emily stared at me like I had changed languages. I made myself keep going. I thought keeping the shop alive was keeping us alive. I thought if I paid the bills and kept food in the house and did not fall apart where you could see it, that counted as being strong. My throat tightened. I was wrong. For 1 second my daughter was 12 again. Not innocent, just wounded. Then her face hardened because grief without responsibility is only another weapon. So you admit it? Yes. Then you know why I did it. No, I said. That stopped her. I looked up. I know why you hurt. I do not know why you chose to become cruel. Emily's mouth trembled. You made me cruel. No. It was the first sharp word I had used all night. She took a small step back. I failed you, I said. I will carry that. But I did not make you write lies. I did not make you send Travis after my building. I did not make you sit at Carol's table and use your concern to shame me in front of family. The apartment felt smaller with every sentence. Those were choices. Emily looked at Carol. Say something. Carol wiped her face. He is right. Emily's face twisted. Of course he is. He is always right to you. No, Carol said. He was wrong after Sarah died. I should have told him harder. I should have dragged him home some nights. I should have watched you closer. I am sorry for that. Her voice shook, but she stood straighter. But you tried to destroy him, Emily. That is not a wound speaking. That is revenge. The word hung there, revenge. Funny thing, hearing it pointed the other way. Emily looked toward the window. Outside, headlights moved across the blinds. Her phone buzzed on the coffee table. Nobody moved. It buzzed again. Emily glanced down. I saw Travis's name before she turned the screen over. That told me enough. Here is what happens now, I said. Emily laughed once. Now you punish me. No, I said. Now you choose how much truth you can survive. Her eyes narrowed. I reached into my jacket and took out an envelope. Inside were the printed reviews, the one from after Travis left, and a short note I had written by hand because printers make a man sound like an insurance company. I put the envelope on her coffee table. By Monday night, the fake reviews come down. You will post one statement on the same local page where the rumors spread. You do not have to write a novel. You do not have to humiliate yourself for sport. You will say the reviews were false, that you helped spread them, and that Davy's auto body did not do the things you accused it of doing. Emily stared at the envelope. And if I do not? Carol closed her eyes. I hated that part. I hated that I had to say it. Then Carol's recording goes to the review site, Thompson's Collision, the VFW page, and every customer who asks me why my bays are empty. Emily looked at me like I had slapped her. You would do that to your own daughter. There it was, the final shield, blood. I looked at her for a long moment. You did not ask that question when you were doing it to your own father. She looked away first. That was the moment the room changed. Not when the recording played, not when she cried, when she had no answer to the question she thought would save her. Carol put the phone back in her purse. Her hands were still shaking. Emily whispered, "Get out." Carol took one step toward her. Emmy. Emily flinched at the childhood name. Do not call me that. Carol stopped. I picked up nothing from the table. The envelope stayed there. At the door, Emily said, "Was the shop worth it?" I turned back. Her face was wet, angry, broken in places I had not known how to see when she was young. No, I said. She blinked. But destroying it will not give your mother back, and it will not give you the father you needed at 12. Her hand went to the edge of the door. I hate you, she said. It was not the first time a child had said that to a parent. It may have been the first time she meant it and did not. Both can happen in one sentence. I nodded. I know. Carol made a small sound behind me. I stepped into the hall. The door closed quietly. That was worse than a slam. On the stairs, Carol broke. She sat halfway down and cried with both hands over her face. I stood beside her because there are some kinds of grief you cannot fix, only refuse to leave alone. After a minute, she said, I loved her like she was mine. I know. I still do. I know that too. She looked up at me. Do you? That question hurt because I understood what she meant. Did I still love Emily? The easy answer was yes. The honest answer was not that clean. I do not know what shape it has anymore, I said. Carol cried harder. I drove home without turning on the radio. The next morning I opened the shop. Same sticky lock, same tired bell, same empty bays, but something had changed. Not fixed, changed. I walked to the shelf and took down the red toolbox. The handle shifted like it always did. I almost fixed it right then. One screw, maybe two, easy job. I did not. There are things a man avoids because repair would feel like a lie. I set the toolbox on my desk and sat across from it while the office computer hummed. One by one I called customers who had canceled. Not to beg. A man can lose a lot before he needs to lose his dignity too. I said the same simple thing. This is Frank Davies. I heard some ugly talk may have reached you. If I ever did bad work for you, I want to make it right. If I did not, I would appreciate you judging me by what you know, not what somebody typed without a name. Some people were embarrassed, some did not answer. One man hung up. Linda Park called back and said, "Frank, my van runs straight. I posted what I know." That nearly undid me. Jerry Moss came by that afternoon with his son driving him. "I cannot bring the Ford anymore," he said, "because the boy finally stole my keys like a coward. But I can still talk." He posted too. By Friday, a few real reviews had appeared, not fancy, not emotional, just people saying what I had fixed and how long they had known me. Good work does not shout, but sometimes good people do. Monday evening, Emily posted. Carol sent me the screenshot because I had stopped checking the page every 10 minutes like a man poking a bruise. Emily's statement was short. Some recent claims about Davies' auto body were false. I helped spread them because of personal anger toward my father. His work did not deserve those accusations. I am sorry to the customers and to him. I read it 3 times, then I set the phone down. I did not feel victorious. That surprised me, though it should not have. A man imaginee's truth will ring like a bell when it finally lands. Sometimes it only sounds like a tired exhale. The reviews started coming down after that, not all at once. The internet has a way of making lies easier to plant than remove. But enough disappeared. Enough customers saw the correction. Enough people at the VFW had something new to repeat. Travis did not come back to my shop. I heard later Thompson's collision let him go. Officially, it was for conduct damaging to the business. Unofficially, Tom told the wrong fishing friend at exactly the right counter and the story traveled with boots on. I did not ask for details. Emily called me the night after her post went up. I let it ring. Then she texted, "I did what you wanted. Are you happy now?" I looked at the message for a long time. There are questions designed to pull you back into a burning room. I turned the phone face down. 2 weeks later, Bay 1 had a pickup in it. Bay 2 had Linda Park's sister's car. Bay 3 had Jerry's son's truck, which he claimed needed a fender repair and not a lesson in loyalty, though I suspected both. The shop did not bounce back like nothing happened. That is not how damage works. You can pull a frame straight and still know where it bent. Some customers never returned. Some family dinners got smaller. Carol stopped hosting for a while. Tom dropped off food at the shop twice and pretended he had made too much, which was a lie because the man can eat like a teenager after mowing a lawn. Emily did not come by. I did not ask her to. One Saturday morning, I found her house key in an envelope in my mailbox. No note, just the key. I stood by the road with that envelope in my hand while a neighbor's sprinkler ticked across the grass. A father's heart is a foolish piece of machinery. Even after everything, some part of me looked down the street expecting to see the little girl with paint on her fingers running back because she had forgotten something. Nobody came. I took the key inside and set it in the junk drawer. Then I took it back out because junk was not what it was. I put it in the red toolbox. That was the first time I had opened it in years. Inside were 3 small screwdrivers, a tiny socket set, a roll of old electrical tape, and a folded piece of paper I did not remember putting there. The paper had gone soft at the edges. It was one of Emily's childhood drawings. Me, apparently, standing beside a square building with a crooked sign. Her mother was in the picture too, wearing yellow hair though Sarah's hair was brown. Emily had drawn herself between us, holding both our hands. Above us, in big uneven letters, she had written, "Daddy fixes everything." I sat down on the garage step. That one did what the reviews had not done. It took the air out of me. Because she had been wrong then and she was wrong now, but both wrongs came from the same place. A child believed I could fix everything. A woman hated me because I did not. I folded the drawing carefully and put it back. The key went beside it. Then I carried the toolbox to the garage floor, near the wall where Sarah's Christmas decorations sat in plastic tubs and Emily's old bicycle leaned on two flat tires. I did not put it back on the shop shelf, not because I hated it, because the shelf was for the story I used to tell myself. The floor was honest. Months passed. The shop survived. Not in the proud way I would have described it before, more like an old truck starting on a cold morning, rough at first, then steady enough. I hired a young man named Louis part-time. He listened more than he talked, which put him ahead of most people. I taught him how to line up a panel by feel, not just measurement. He taught me that the office computer was not supposed to sound like an airplane. Life did what life does. It did not apologize for continuing. Carol came back around. Family dinners returned, smaller and quieter. We did not say Emily's name often. When we did, Carol looked toward the window first. I saw Emily once at the grocery store. She was at the far end of the cereal aisle holding a basket. Her hair was shorter. She looked thinner. For a second we saw each other the way people see each other after a car accident from opposite sidewalks. Her mouth opened. Mine did too. Neither of us spoke. Then she turned her cart and went down another aisle. I stood there holding coffee filters I did not need. That night she texted, "I saw you." I wrote back, "I know." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again, then nothing. That was where we were, not healed, not dead. Somewhere worse and more honest. People ask, when they hear pieces of this story, whether I forgave her. That is usually not what they really want to know. They want the ending to pick a side they can carry easily. They want either a cruel daughter thrown away or a loving father opening the door. They want a clean moral because clean morals make better comments. I do not have one. I can tell you I did not ruin her life when I could have. I can tell you I did not protect her lie once it started killing mine. I can tell you I am sorry for the father I failed to be after Sarah died. I can also tell you that sorry does not make fake reviews vanish, does not bring customers back, does not erase the sound of your daughter's voice saying the town will believe her before it believes you. Both things are true. That is the hard part. A few months after everything, I stayed late at the shop to finish a tailgate repair. Rain came down steady, tapping the bay door and turning the parking lot black under the lights. Louis had gone home. The office computer was quiet because he had finally fixed whatever was trying to take flight inside it. I shut off the compressor. I swept the floor. Then I looked at the empty shelf above the paint bench. For 19 years, that shelf had held the red toolbox. Now it held nothing. I thought emptiness would accuse me. It did not. It simply told the truth. Some gifts do not survive what people do later. Some love changes shape. Some rooms stay standing after the thing that made them feel like home has left. I locked the shop and drove home through the rain. My phone buzzed as I pulled into the garage. Emily. For a moment I sat there with the engine off and rain ticking on the roof. The toolbox was still on the garage floor near the wall. I could see it in the headlights before they faded. Red paint dull. Yellow letters faint. World's best dad. My phone buzzed again. I picked it up. Her message said, "I do not know how to fix this." I looked at those words for a long time. Then I looked at the toolbox. There was a day when my daughter believed I fixed everything. There was a day when I believed work could hold a family together if a man just kept showing up. We had both been wrong in ways that cost us. I typed, "Neither do I." I did not send it right away. My thumb hovered over the screen while the garage went dark around me. Finally, I sent it. Then I got out of the truck, walked past the toolbox, and went inside. I did not pick it up. Not yet. Maybe someday I will. Maybe she will come over and sit at the kitchen table without a speech in her purse. Maybe I will learn how to be sorry without letting sorry become permission. Maybe she will learn how to be hurt without turning it into a weapon. Maybe none of that will happen. For now, the shop opens every morning. The bell still sounds tired. The bays still smell like oil, paint, and work. Customers still bring me bent metal, and most days I can still make it straight. But the toolbox stays on the garage floor. That is where the story ends for now. So tell me honestly, if your child tried to destroy your name because you failed them years before, would you expose the truth and close the door? Or would you open it anyway because they were still your child?